Hello, and welcome to Geometry, Unit 1, Tools for Geometry. This is Section 1.5, Angle Addition Postulate. Our success criteria for today is I can determine the measure of an angle using the angle addition postulate. So let's start off by talking about what an angle is. We say that an angle is the figure formed by two rays that share the same vertex. So what does that look like? When we talk about a ray starts from one point and it extends infinitely in one direction. So here's one example of a ray. So we go find another one, starting from a point, extending infinitely in one direction. These are what we call rays. And the point that they're both starting from, this point right here, this is called a vertex. Vertex is a very important word. It's something you should know for the rest of geometry at least. And lastly, everything in between all of this, that's the angle. So now that we know what an angle is, we talk about how to name an angle. You name, let's write the correct letters here. You name an angle with 3 letters. Remember, with lines, we only use 2 letters. With angles, we're going to use 3 letters. And here's very important. You should write this down. The vertex is in the middle. The vertex is in the middle. So when we look at our angle here, we've got our 2 rays, YZ and YX. And then Y is my vertex. So I know that the way that I name it, that Y is going to be in the middle. So I'm going to take 1 point from one of the lines. So I'll take 1 point from one of the lines. We'll put our vertex after it, and then we'll put the second point after that. And in front of those 3 letters, we're going to put something kind of looks like a less than sign or alligator sign. We call this an angle symbol. Okay, it's flat on the bottom and it's curved, or I'm sorry, not curved, it's slanted on the left there. So that's an angle. So this is one way to name it. And we're going to name it our second way here. So step number 2. And all you have to do to name it the second way is just reverse the order of the letters. So X was last. We're going to put X first this time. Notice Y is still going to be in the middle here. Y is still in the middle. And our third letter is going to be Z. Both are totally acceptable ways to name our angle. So with that in mind, let's name all of the angles in the diagram. All of the angles in the diagram. The way that I'm going to do that, so I keep track of all of them, is I'm going to highlight as I go. So we go from, we've got 1 point here with V as the vertex. Notice in all of these, V is my vertex. Okay, so at the center of every angle is going to be V. So from here, we're going to go from P to V to Q. That's 1. So let's name it P. Don't do what I just did. Make sure you include that angle symbol. angle PVQ. I'm going to choose a different color now because I see another angle in there from R to V to Q. And some of you at this point, you might say, well, everything's colored in. All of my lines are shaded. That's it. That's all the angles I have. But what we're not noticing is that there's a third angle. If I act like that line Q isn't there, then I've got an angle P to V to R. So our third angle is angle P, V, R. So make sure you're looking for all of those angles. Part C, for our example, says name each angle with 3 letters. So we're going to start with angle number 1. Go find the 1 on there. It's not the measure of our angle. It's just another way to represent the angle name. Here's our angle 1. And I'm going to look at the lines that bound it. It contains J, X, and K, where X is my vertex. Here's your here's a vertex. Well, that's a little messy. That's a vertex. That's an X. So angle 1, another way to write this is angle J, X, K. Let's jump to angle 2. So again, let's go find it right here. The letters that surround it would be K, X, and L. So the name of this angle would be KXL. If you put the X anywhere except the middle for this, it's wrong. KLX is wrong. It has to be KXL. Next one, angle 3, goes from L to X to Q or M. Either one of those works. But I'm going to write L, X, Q. One more angle. Angle number 4 goes from M to X to N. So angle 4 is equal to MXN. Okay, moving on to the next part. Now that we've talked about how to name it and we've done some practice, we want to talk about the angle addition postulate. So angle addition postulate, just like segment addition postulate, you're going to take your 2 smaller angles here. So let me highlight some of them. You've got an angle here. And you've got an angle here. And those should add together to give me my bigger angle right here. So let's write that out exactly. We've got M, and this means the measure of. The measure of angle BAC plus the measure of angle C. Ooh, let's do a different color here. Let's try and match my colors up. CAD is equal to the measure of angle BAD. Okay, simple enough. You just take 2 angles, add them together, and that gives us the bigger angle. Let's put it into practice. Part D. In the diagram, angle BAC is equal to 30 degrees. So here's the first piece of information. Let's label it. BAC is 30 degrees. I'm going to put a 30 here. And CAD is 47 degrees. I'm going to put a 47 here. Find the measure of angle BAD. That's my bigger angle. B to A to D. So how do we do that? Add them up. 30. Oops. 30 plus 47 is equal to 30 plus 47. That's going to give me 77. So the measure of angle BAD is equal to 77 degrees. Example E, in the diagram, angle BAC is equal to 21, and angle BAD is equal to 39. Find the measure of angle DAC. So let's, again, write down our information. BAC is 21 degrees. Notice this next one, BAD, that's the whole angle. So this whole thing is 39 degrees. And it says to find the measure of angle DAC. So take a moment, think about how would I find that angle? And we'll use the letter X to represent it. If you said subtract, that's exactly right. Our bigger angle is 39. That's the entire thing. That's the whole. Minus part of my angle will give me the other part of the angle. So this is going to be 18 degrees. So measure of angle DAC is equal to 18 degrees. Part F, this one's going to take it even a step further now. Angle IHJ is 40 degrees. So let's label it IHJ, 40 degrees. KHJ is equal to 2x plus 8. Ooh, now I'm adding in a variable in here. So 2x plus 8. And lastly, KHI, that's my big boy. That's the entire thing. KHI is 72 degrees. Find the value of X. Then the measure of angle KHJ. We're not at KHJ yet. We want to find X first. So we're going to set up our formula with that in mind. Start by adding the parts. So 2x plus 8 plus 40 is equal to the whole 72. And from there, it's a multi-step equation. So we combine our like terms first, 8 and 40. That's going to give us a nice 48. Nothing happens to the 2x, so that just stays as 2x plus 48 is equal to a 72. From here, we want to subtract 48 from both sides to isolate my x. Let's put a 48 there. We are left with 2x equal to 72 minus 48, which is 24. And then we divide by 2 to give us x equal 12. There's our first answer. Now we want to find the measure of angle KHJ. Well, if we look back, KHJ is represented by 2x plus 8. Well, we just solved for x, which means now we can substitute. So the measure of angle KHJ is equal to 2 times 12 plus 8. We keep working it from there. 2 times 12 is 24. So the measure of angle KHJ is equal to 32. And there you have it, folks. That is angle addition postulate.